Okay, recording. Office hours 12. Okay, we didn't coordinate this before, but can we get, yeah, okay. How are we doing it?
Yeah.
Where are we at? Lauren, you're the counter. Your fingers are always in the green
Yeah, your
screen
fingers
now.
are hidden. I can't.
Okay.
We'll
2,
see.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
There
and
you go.
10.
How many do you need, Nahal?
I mean,
Three,
I,
three.
Yeah,
There you go.
there we go. Okay, yeah, that was a tough one. That was a
Okay.
tough. That was tough last week. Lauren just in the comment, just that was only 10, Tyler. So
that was 10. No.
yeah, I'm glad that we got this right. This is Office Hours 12. Today we're actually going to do quarterly report. We're sending this out through emails to people who have supported us and followed us along as the users who are actually using the system on Speak. So we love them very much. We share this out very transparently, and it's part of our work to share in public. And it's been a really enjoyable experience to share this out, get some feedback, and learn a lot along the way by doing this report. So quickly before we jump into that, can we do just name what you do here? We're just so everyone has an understanding of who everyone. Someone might join this for the first time and not know who we are. So quickly, Tyler, I'm one of the original creators of Speak AI and do a lot of the day-to-day management, marketing, and just trying to make sure the ship runs. So I'm done. That's it.
Okay.
I'm
What's
Lauren.
on here? Ryan, go ahead.
No, go ahead. That's what you started. Okay, I'm Lauren. I do the accounting, finance, HR, a whole bunch of miscellaneous work.
I like that no one can define their role as in the title. That's a.
It's not just a catch-all term. I guess admin.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's all.
Okay. What's on here? I'm CTO at Speak AI.
Beautiful. Oh, see, that was better. Tim.
Name's Tim. I'm software engineer, specialist at spacing out.
Okay, I'll take that.
Nihal.
That was a good one.
There we go.
I'm 𝗕𝗏𝗏, digital strategist, marketer here at Speak. Helping Tyler organize his thoughts, essentially.
Wow, that's a big task you've got there, buddy. We were joking about Nihal and I went to. I think Lauren, well, a couple of us went to university here where, everything you do is like write 20 pages on this, write a 20-page essay to explain your thought. And then there's this sort of meme that comes across in like software startups. It's like, explain what you do in 5 seconds. And that's all. And that's a part that I'm definitely trying to get better at. And the more concise you can get, I think the easier everything becomes. So as Nihal comes in with the critical eye, I told Vatso, I feel exposed. I feel like all the things that have just fallen through the cracks that just don't have the time or the capacity or the wordiness of myself or just the ridiculous habits are emerging to the surface and both make me very excited. Then also sometimes I just lay in my bed and it's like, oh, God damn it. I could do so much better. But that's exciting to have someone who brings quality onto the team. So before I get on a tangent, let's rein this in and talk about what we're all here for today, which is, first of all, office hours. We do this every day, 12 p.m. Every day, every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we get together, we jam, discussions about what we're building, what we're thinking about, how we can make things better, and just have a good time. We look forward to this every week. So today we're looking at the quarter one report of 2021. I can't even believe that. This is the 5th report that we've done. So every quarter we actually send this out. So share it with, again, supporters, people who are actually using the app. And we don't really customize it for it. Like, I know there's people who might do more tailored reports, but we just sort of create the standardized one and share it out. So I'm sure it's interesting as a user signing up to get some of these insights into the business, but that's what we've really enjoyed. I'm not going to share it on the screen. I want this to be more about the conversation, but just basically send out this email. A little bit of the process quickly was the first one was there was nothing in the email and it was like, hey, read this report. And it was a DocSend report. And so people would then jump into the DocSend report and I think they would get like overwhelmed because it was like long and people really enjoyed it. We actually got great feedback, but I started slowly adding more of a summarization in the email. And I think in terms of dissemination, it's actually become more powerful and I get more feedback on that. And then the truly interested people then go visit the DocSend report, which is built out and a little bit more explanatory. So what I'm just going to go through is read out a couple, point by point, some of the points in this quarter one report, and then just hear anyone's thoughts, any discussion, any insights, any thoughts that anyone has on this, and this will include this video when we actually send this out in email. So anyone who doesn't want to read the email or who just likes video or audio can check this out. So first one. This is exciting things. This is what it's called in the title, and it's like business growth. So the first point on this is we saw a 30% increase in revenue in Q1 2021. I'll just add one note to that. Last quarter was 73% increase. So that was awesome. 73% increase was pretty huge. 30% is still pretty awesome. So I know that's, we're all happy with that and excited to see the business growth. And just anyone else have any thoughts around the business growth? Why did that happen? Why is our revenue increasing? What are we doing right? And then how are we trying to hone in on that even more so we can continue that in Q2?
Yeah, a decent amount of subscriptions coming in, and we landed a rather large deal size with 𝗕𝗏𝗃. I'm not sure if you really want to bring that up though or not.
Yeah, well, that partnership is going live next week, and that's all signed. So we won't spend too much time on it, but very excited to share more about that, and a great team at 𝗕𝗃 there that we look forward to doing a lot of great stuff with. So both on a technology front, and then just helping them understand a lot of the work that is that can be done in the market that they're in, where we've spent a lot of time looking at. So very excited to share more. See some press releases, see some blog posts, and yeah, that's been quite the journey to see that come together. Anyone else? You guys are just going to make me talk about this, eh?
Well, we've opened a new frontier in our technological front. We've now started to actually hone in on something as specialists. It's been a journey to be this jack of all trades of an application, but now we've actually zoned in on one thing: transcription, and it's been it opened up a channel for new customers.
How have you guys been enjoying transcription anyways over this past 3-4 months, it seems?
It's been a big undertaking.
Yeah, that's a big undertaking, and it's also important for the customers. I would say it's like the feedbacks we are receiving is like the next level feedback. So it's important to get the real feedbacks, improve the system, see what's working, what's not working, and it's everything is aligned with the business growth. Is like if it's a connected dots. It is balanced between the business and the user feedback, right? So it's like if we will have more feedback, that means business is growing. We see the growth, we see in the numbers, and Lauren, you touch upon the number of subscription. That's a part of that.
Yeah, I think it was a gap that we saw not only for our customers, but just with technology in general, which was automated transcription, automated analysis is just not there. There needs to be this human touch to bring this up to, again, my stupid joke is as close to accurate as humanly possible. And that's what we've now offered. So with that, you can create professional publish ready content. And that's a big driver. When you can create content that you're ready to share, you can post it, and it actually drives growth for an organization or an individual. If you're trying to do research, you need to make sure that your transcription is accurate so you can actually understand that in a more valuable way. And this is where I think this can transition into, is some of that research is also being used to train models, and it becomes like a way to clean data sets. And for our organization, that's a very valuable thing, because if you're training your models on inaccurate data, you're going to have inaccurate models, and that's something that most people want to avoid. So we've aligned our software and our offering with what we're seeing as a big need in the market in general, and we talked about why there's some companies that are doing just great automated transcription, but finding a gap because they can't get the human part, so their system lacks value, and then just the human people doing transcription services not incorporating the software as eloquently, and really trying to bridge that gap there, which has been, I think, a reason why we have seen this growth.
Correct. And talking about, let's say, this quarter or the next quarter, we are doing a couple of research, a couple of feature and the solutions based on the user research, and trying to figure out a couple of things, let's say, that can be the pricing, or that can be how we can optimize for the user and by the user for the new future of new solutions and the features, which might see the major growth in the next couple of quarters. So it's what we see and what's coming next. So
Yeah. So this is a point it's actually, I'm skipping to point 3, but it bundles into this nicely. Is we did 50 hours of human transcription last quarter. So we went from 0 to 50. Lauren, what do you put for the increase? Is that just 100% increase, or is that 5,000%? Well, I don't know how you measure 0 to 50. I did it in a percentage calculator, and it just wouldn't give me an answer. So it's not much to do compare. Lauren, do you have any answer to that right off the top?
Well, as far as like growth percentage calculations, it's like you're dividing by like the last quarter. So if it's 0 from the last quarter, you divide by 0, which is not possible. So
Makes
yeah,
sense.
next quarter we'll have one.
That's why I'm not getting an answer on my calculator. Okay. So, but we went from 0 to 50, and we talked about this a little bit, but the first one we did, I think we got like 8 hours come in, and it was a frantic week between 𝗲𝗀𝗁, Tim, and I, where it felt like everything was working and also on fire at the exact same time. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you didn't even realize, but last week you're processing almost 30 hours in 1 week and handled it basically as smoothly as can be. So that's a huge shift, and that's a business model right there. And what's nice about why I think that's contributing to revenue growth too is, first of all, human transcription is actually it's expensive, to be honest. Like it's time consuming to do. We've seen some of the statistics about how long it takes to do just the transcription, and then also the quality assurance on it, and to deliver that all the way through with a good turnaround time, and then nice export formats and ways to interact with that data after is not an easy thing. It's a big combination of human capital management and then also software management. And the other part is that the organizations that we're working with are continuously processing audio and video. So their needs are not just going away, and it continues. So if you do a good job and you build a solid relationship, the growth with them continues. So our goal right now is to deliver high quality, build the trust, and just keep pumping out really high quality transcripts with QA, and then adding the insights layer on top. Anything else about revenue in Q1 2021? Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's jump on the.
Yeah.
Let's see what's our next.
My final point on that is just, while we're seeing growth, still some of that, that's not a bad thing, but is leveraging on our expertise, and also I say reputation, and then some of the one-time implementations and analytics. So as we move forward, we continue to want to see that grow, specifically through software and the transcription and the data set cleaning as much as possible. That's the way that we want to grow. But we're happy to have growth in any way, especially in an early stage as we build out those offerings even better. So next part, you've got to stack up the growth metrics right at the start. The hours of audio and video transcribed and analyzed increased 400%. So that's massive. Let's see if I can quickly pull up the stat there. We went from 69 hours to, and there's a little bit of, this could change slightly, from 349 and just a little bit more analysis up to maybe 370 hours. So that's a big jump in the amount of media in our system in 1 quarter. That's it. Anyone have anything to add?
Yeah, it's like, I don't want to go into the individual user statistics, but like we see a couple of large media library dump on Spake in Q1, and the impact of that and the output. My expectations are we will see in Q3 and Q4 is like how this gigantic library turned around for the public facing. And there is still is like also for them, they are trying to upload more media, trying to more analysis, trying to understand between the analysis. So that is the big part I would consider in the increasing of the media analysis and the number of medias. And also already you might have opened there, but it's a good statistics and the number of media uploaded. And it's also already live on the websites on for a couple of users. So you might came across the 𝗕ecie 𝗙𝗿 media player.
Hit that play button, interact with that stuff. And that's it. We can open share one of them, are great partners of ours, which has been Microdose, MD Media. And they had about, they contributed large to that library. And it's amazing to see what was the need that they actually had. There was a need where they couldn't use YouTube. They couldn't use another service that they actually had been using in the past. And we talked a little bit about it in the past week, but they didn't want it to be password protected, but they didn't want it to be SEO indexed. So we actually solved a real problem for them. And that's why they invested their library into our system. And it also aligns with, we've been talking about this from the start, how many hours of media is being uploaded into Speak. That was like a North Star metric that we talked about when we were at the basement at Innovation Works. And it's like a lagging indicator, but to see 400% increase in one quarter, that's awesome. So
I'm curious to see what happens like after they've done all that dump and like see how much the metrics on like, you know, exports and all the other things we're tracking, how much that makes an influence.
I agree. And we also do have statistics on all these embeddable media players, like from where the user is trying to interact and trying to understand what they're producing. Is that useful? Is like how people are interacting with that. So that is probably coming soon, but that's going to be a big shift in the usage of the embeddable media player and understanding of the end user. That's always be the goal. So at one point, you will say in Speak App.
Beautiful. I'll move on to the next point then. We were honored to be featured in the Indie Hackers interview, which took a long time to create, to be honest. Indie Hackers, for anyone who doesn't know, is a wonderful site and directory and community that shows and documents organizations that are building in public and also really taking some sort of organic path to growth. And they reached out to us, which was very humbling. Asked us interviews that took a long time to go through, but it was actually published live. And still see people come from Indie Hackers all the time and visit, and just very proud to be even incorporated and have that opportunity. So that was a lot of work, but also an exciting moment and milestone for us at the team here. Yeah, that makes sense. That's pretty self-containing. I'll move on. We'll move into this part, which is business growth. This is point number 5. We're already zooming through here, which is released a new office hours session every Friday. Put that on YouTube, but now it's also on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, all the places that you can find podcasts. So anywhere. And I think the listeners and viewership is, the viewership on YouTube continues to increase. Listenership on Spotify, there seems to be a couple listeners. I have I suspect that it might be 𝗲𝗁 and I listening, and maybe a couple team members. But it's amazing to have that documented, and it's already starting to impact the website in terms of domain authority and links back and growth, which is very exciting. So I guess any thoughts on the office hours, and just also want to thank you all for actually attending these. This is an hour that we spend together every Friday, and it's a ton of fun, and it's also built a great dedication and habit on our team that I'm very proud of.
Yeah, they've been fun. I looked forward to the, especially when we have like guests on too. They always seem to take the whole thing for a whirl and just rant for a good while. So that's fun.
Tim, I saw you.
It's always like we're very much excited to talk about something that's on our minds, but we do not. But the opposite is true to looking back and appreciating this gap that we have filled with progress. And it's funny to see, but I just commented there. Everybody's nodding proudly, and it's a tough crowd for Tyler, but I'm sure that it's just a minute for it's an hour of gratitude for the whole team here, and I wonder how could we maybe animate that a bit more.
Yeah. No, so I'm gonna prod into 𝗍𝗏 here, who's someone who is coming fresh into the team, and first of all, we've got a couple metrics in terms of growth, and then what we're seeing, and then you're starting to get a higher level insight. But just as you come in at the end of a quarter and then start to actually contribute to the team, any thoughts that you're having? And also congratulations, you made it through a week. So you're still here. That's a great sign. Any thoughts from this week, or just what you're seeing in this quarterly report, or just from what you've learned at all this week?
Well, I guess just to start on the note of the office hours and the podcast, there's this running joke among some of my friends where I've been saying I'm going to start a podcast since like first year university. So in a way, I guess this gets to be my first constant podcast experience, which is good because maybe it'll motivate me to start my own. And I think it's a really powerful tool when, especially once we start growing even more. I think this will be something that we can all look back on, and we're going to start getting some production equipment, some foam squares behind us, some ring lighting, and we'll look back at these office hours and be like, look how far we've come, right? So
lighting.
And lighting. So it's exciting, and like Tim said, I think it's a really good opportunity for us to showcase Speak culture as well, kind of just the good rapport that we have, the way we work through problems, like even if there are things we don't agree on, like it's a very open forum where we all have a voice, which is good. And as for my first week, it's really just been learning about, exploring the actual software, exploring Speak. I've spent some time this week testing out like the in-app recorder. Yesterday I had a call with a couple of friends where I actually walked them through the Speak platform, and I mean, they're pretty. I mean, they're also kind of nerds, which, but it's they thought it was like super cool, which is nice. I'm trying to get them to sign up because they're both still in school, so trying to get them to sign up and see how they can use that within their education workflow as well. Which that's the first step to capturing some of Otter's audience as well, right?
First conversions from 𝗕𝗏 here.
Exactly. Got to justify my hire.
Justin, how are you? We have a new joiner here. This is always a welcome joiner. So happy to see your name pop up. I was just supposed to send you a message today, Justin. So I'm glad you're here. How's everything going?
Excellent. Well, I'm capturing the Otter audience. I'm already like 𝗕𝗏 already.
Yeah.
I see Justin uses Otter quite a bit, so
yes,
try to pull him away from there as well.
Yeah, he's a good friend and a supporter, but he's also given us some great insights into what works well, what doesn't, and we've leaned on Justin because he tests every software available to man, and and brings a wealth of experience into that. So Justin, what we're doing here today, partway through, we're at a pretty good pace, is we have a quarterly update coming, so we send those out every quarter, and we've just been basically saying like. I've just been reading out the point that comes from the email. So you will receive that email and just getting some feedback and insights and thoughts on it. So we talked about some revenue growth, the amount of human transcription that we've done last quarter, which skyrocketed thanks to you as well too, Justin. You really helped bring that together. Some of and then these office hours interviews too, just like how enjoyable those have been. Some of the great moments where we've had people pop in, like you. And so just, we'll take an interlude here for a second, but anything on your thought, Justin? You I think you were part of the first office hours or a very early session, and you came in with impeccable timing here into a quarterly report and reflection office hours.
Awesome. So it's, thanks. Great to be here. How can I be of value in this session? Is there, what's top of mind, or?
Let me think. So we got.
Hear me, yeah.
Okay, so we've got. Let me get through one more point in.
Sure.
2 more points, and then feel encouraged to jump in because you have followed and contributed throughout. So let me just hit this next point on this business growth and what happened in Q1, and then you can feel encouraged to jump in. Anyone can feel encouraged to jump in. And just again, anyone listening or anyone watching, Justin 𝗕𝗏, Superman, super supporter, legendary walk and talker, and all around fantastic person. So what? Yeah, well, there we go.
I haven't moved one unit. There's been 0 adopters on this, but one day
you're living in the future. Sometimes it just takes a while for the future to come to fruition. So no worries on that. So the point 6. I don't know if I should include this in the actual report or not, so we can talk about this after or right now. But we put a lot of work into pricing discussions, and then also even pricing page updates, how we're going to tackle this, where are we providing value within the system, in between the sign up page or the pricing page, the pricing updates, and then how we show that on the site. We've seen almost even a whole percentage increase in conversion rates on the site. So we did something right there. So I guess just any thoughts on that? I know we're going to have more discussions moving forward. And then again, Justin, feel encouraged to jump in. I know you've got a very wide spectrum of what you're seeing in pricing, and even any thoughts on you and how you think we should be positioning and pricing too.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because I'm a big obviously a big fan of the all you can eat, and even if that's at a premium price point, just going back to the Otter conversation, I don't think anybody does it better with than Otter, as far as you don't have to ever think about it. It's $10 a month and you have to never think about the 6,000 minutes. But it's and it's great for the transcription and still use it quite a bit, but it doesn't move that quick, what I'm saying? Whereas, Speak goes much further into my stack, and for some, for me, so there's a premium that goes with how closely can you replicate somebody's brain, which I think Speak does, or what they want to get out of it. So, but I think so. There's less friction the more that's all you can eat, but the real value is if you can just, if Speak does the heavy lifting for where I can just talk, and I just said, 250 words, what was valuable out of what I just said to me, what's valuable to somebody else, what I just said, where was I just full of it? Where was I just rambling? Do you know what I'm saying? Am I depressed? Emotion. I just had my COVID shot about a week ago.
Oh, wow.
And I haven't been back 100% since then, it hasn't felt on fire since then. Speak can pick that stuff out. So does that help at all, or is that just create more
that's
confusion?
Great. No, and 𝗍𝗲 is actually working on some pricing, or not pricing page, but some alternatives. We don't like the term competitive, because even, for example, Otter, you could take the transcript, import it in, and actually amplify the value of the service offering that they've given through their technology. So, but 𝗍𝗲 is coming in with this wide, who is in the space? How do we figure all this out? And then trying to then figure out what's the true differentiators and where the value adds. So you heard directly from a user who understands this, 𝗍𝗲, of what one of those differentiators, at least in his perspective, is. So
I don't want to derail too much, but maybe it's for this part or not, but I'd be very curious, 𝗍𝗲, who you think, or who's the closest competitor. So I don't think anybody's doing, I'd be curious. I'm not going to ask a question and give my 2 cents on it. Who do you think is doing the thing that's most similar?
So that's something I'm still trying to learn. And, I've had a couple of chats with 𝗲𝗁 and Tyler trying to identify who they think that is. Currently, I'd say we're the best kind of all-in-one jack of all trades tool, or one of the best. I mean, I don't want to say we're the best, but it's when it comes to transcription, for instance, I'd say right now in the automated transcription space, that would be Otter, Rev, Descript to an extent.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to something like sentiment analysis, for instance, I'd say the biggest one would be Monkey Learn, right? But they're obviously their platform is pretty super fleshed out to hone in on what they're focused on doing. And for me, one of my goals with this exercise is to kind of find places where we're similar, but maybe add on value, or places where we completely deviate, where some of these other products, what some of these other products do.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So in the case, for instance, on our page talking about Otter, for instance, it's we do transcription, but we kick it up a notch, right? We do transcription, but if you want perfect, 99.9% accuracy, we give you the human transcription element, right, to warranty that, and little things like that is where I'm trying to put our focus on.
The full service shop, and I think and I don't know how you capture it, but what you do differently is, I mean, it's the people behind the software is the big, and I said it, I didn't use Speak that much for the first 9 minutes that I was talking about Speak. Excuse me, and advocating for Speak. And I think that speaks, no pun intended, that speaks volume. And each of the, I don't know you as well, but each of the other people on like the stream, you're thought leaders and great practitioners in what you do. Like, and so it's the culture that got built around it. And I don't know how, it's almost like it's a software company, but it almost exists like a consulting company to me, which is interesting, you know, because of the culture that got built around it. So if Speak doesn't, from my perspective, if Speak doesn't grow exponentially, it's not going to make, I know this team is going to do something exponential, which is an interesting play. But I think you captured it correctly.
Yeah. I'll just add, like, you know, the part that, you know, that I really do love, we looked at, like, by doing this comparison, the other part that we've realized is part of it actually is that thought leadership, or the part that we actually care enough to even do this research and do it in an accurate way. Because when we looked at, for example, all these companies, there are true gaps that need to be solved if you're trying to figure out certain things. And instead of being like, you know, showing, okay, here we're everything to everyone, we actually broke down each one and we actually found out, oh, here's where we actually add value. And if we don't add value, we can direct you to the place that does. And I think that's what builds the trust and the longer term success of our team and then our company, by taking that and being experts. Or we've had people say, hey, we want to integrate speech recognition into our app. What do we use? Do we use Amazon speech to text? Do we go to Google speech to text? Do we use Microsoft? And we're like, we've tested every single one. We can tell you what works, what doesn't, why is there any value, and where's the downfall of all these systems. And oh, you're trying to do sentiment analysis and named entity recognition on that, and you actually have text files that you need to analyze too, and then combine them together. Well, you're not going to find the system there. We know that we can provide value. So that crazy matrix has been very helpful to help us figure that out. And that's why I see you're off mute here. Not sure if you have something to add.
Right. What I just wanted to add is, like, that's a 2-degree in terms of the product itself creates the value, but also the expertise that we bring on table that also adds the value in the product to help people, right? So it depends, like, on which angle you're looking at, it's left or right, and it's like how we balance that with the exponentially growth. That's the process, or the challenge, I would say.
Depending on what days and how you're looking at it, exactly.
Yes.
And here's the big thing. I think you listen better, like, than, from, you know, my perspective, and than any of the other companies that were mentioned. From, you know, like, I always feel like I'm heard in a Speak conversation. And, you know, I never feel like I'm the target customer for any of these products. You know, and I might not even be for Speak, you know, it's like, it's always, I'm never like, because my use case never feels like it's the core use case that people are using, but you listen differently. And I can go, I mean, off camera, not that I'm embarrassed saying it, but I wouldn't, you know, but I can tell where the other ones have broken down from my perspective, all those other companies that you talked about, where it's broken down. And I think that's key. You live, because you live this stuff, right? And you live the product, and it's not a, you know, so it's very interesting.
Yeah. And one thing we talk is, like, I mean, Tara touch on that, is like the competitors versus the alternatives. As like, we want to add the value in the existing infrastructure. It's like, we are not competing, or we are not trying to fight with someone who's already in the market 10 years. It's like how we can also adds the value on top of that. We change their day-to-day, or creates the new solutions for that. So that's sort of a balance I see personally with that point.
And just to add, like, one of the biggest contracts that we've landed to date, a lot of it is through the lens, just a very exciting moment. The largest contract for us is Speak through software and APIs, which is fantastic. That's a very exciting moment for us. But then part of it was the expertise and the trust we built, and also just like them trying to figure out better recording solutions and how to capture higher quality sound, and knowing that we're all nerds about that and care a lot about that. And if they have questions of like, how should we position a microphone, or if there's music in the background, how do you account for that so you can get higher level of transcription? And then now, like, those are the things that we're going to go an extra level on and deeper into to help solve, so that the final work that they're doing and the need that they actually have is solved. And that's why we're having this success. and to bring back to growth in revenue and growth as our team. So I'm going to segue this wonderfully. Revenue grew in Q1 2021, but also our team did. There's a new person here, 𝗕liche. So Justin, you have talked with him. I don't think you've actually now, but this is the second office hours of 𝗕liche. We're so happy to have him on the team. Justin, he's already becoming, an authority in some of the knowledge here for us, and brings a great technical expertise and also an experience with taking very complex things and breaking them down into much less complex outputs. So 𝗕liche, just again, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining the team. We're very happy to have you. I mentioned quickly at the start of this, both exposing the good things that we've done, but then also the bad things that we've done and what we need to improve on. And I know 𝗕liche has some thoughts on our brand and our logo and how we talk about our company and product. But 𝗕liche, just quickly, welcome again. Any thoughts that you have? I know you've done this once already, but also in the presence of Justin here, just maybe take a second to say hello again.
Yeah, I mean, I keep, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but it genuinely is. It's a breath of fresh air to kind of work with this group of people. I think in the short time that we've worked together, it's nice to feel like I'm working with a couple of friends versus like working with an organization or company, right? But at the same time, doesn't mean that we slack, or like we're still very driven and have an end goal or end goals that we're trying to hit, which is great. And yeah, I mean, I feel like I've definitely roasted you more than a few times than I should have about like our choice of words and branding sometimes. But I think that once again, everything is iterative. We grow and we improve where we can, right? Because I've said this before, the fact that you've focused so much on building a solid product, that's in many ways that is the hardest part of a lot of businesses, right? So now that our product's getting to where we need it to be, now we can actually focus some more time and investment on actually making Speak a bit more user friendly, making it maybe making the messaging more clear, maybe changing some of the colors we've picked, and yeah, just going from there.
Beautiful. Yeah, and I mean, it is a challenge, Justin, and like one of the contracts that we've just landed, like, I mean, you're reading the press releases and some of the stuff that's coming out on that 𝗕liche, and you're like, holy shit, how do I incorporate this with some of the other stuff that's going on? How does a public media library that people are using for marketing fit with machine learning of audio coming through therapy recordings and clinical trial? How do you combine all this? So good luck to you. We've been working on it for 3 years almost, and I look forward to you digging into that more. I'll just move on. We're out of the business growth section, so that was it. Again, after this, message me if you know anything's here. I'll just move on to a couple things on product engineering, which is fun. And Justin, you've maybe seen some of these updates, but maybe some of them are new. But the first one is we added in-app recording. And I'll just say, I know Tim is passionate about this part. I am very too. It's like people can now create original content in Speak. We can be the birth of original content in media, and that's in a very exciting moment for us. So that was a big part of Q1 and actually adding that in.
Right. So, I mean, that it opens a lot of possibilities in terms of also the recording and get the transcription and the insights within a few minutes. So that's a big piece there. And that is the one part. And also like the embeddable recorder, which you can just take a couple line of code and just put on your website, and you can fetch all those recordings from your website, which we'll cover at the next point. But the in-app recorder can open up a possibility of up to 4 hours of recording non-stop, and like even if you want to pause in between, it's like, oh, you know what, I will take a break and I will come back. It's all possible in Speak at this moment. So that's technical challenges all gone. It's a lot of fun to even build the feature, so I hope it will be useful for many users in the future, basically.
The only perhaps question, Justin, I would like to address to you from this on, there is no real-time transcription. So it's literally a recorder that you submit and wait for the analysis to come back. And that's, in your use case, however, you utilize the real-time transcription. how solid is your opinion that real-time why is real-time transcription important? Okay, would you open this?
Yeah, for me, it's a trust factor. Before Otter, I would say that, if I go unconscious and talk for 25 minutes, I was like, and I lose it. It's devastating. So real-time transcription guarantees you that gives me comfort that I don't have to worry about it in the background. That's the big one for the real-time transcription. Now, the issue is now where it becomes interesting. So to answer your question first, Tim, before I go on to the flip side of where I think the analysis later is more important. To answer your question? Okay. So the big piece, so the challenge is, so again, I mean, it's not like I do my stuff on Otter right now. It's trustworthy, it's reliable. The most valuable insight that I get after that transcription is the word cloud. What did I talk about for the last 20, or what conversation did we have for the last 25 minutes was the word cloud. The other thing is the human tagging is very like here's the people that spoke in the section. However, what's more valuable is the sentiment analysis. More valuable than the word cloud is when I dump things into either do them natively in Speak or sort in Speak, and I get, here is the top 5 items that we talked about sentiment analysis. It gives me a much better recollection of what happened than the word cloud in the background. But that's why the real time, I think, is important. So the real question is, here's the problem that you're going to face is the first time somebody uses it and it doesn't work right and it crashes, that person never forgets that, and you can never overcome that first experience with somebody. So that's the big. And there's Slido is one of my favorite products that I use. I just started using it again this week. There was a feature that I did not understand early on, and I use it all. And I won't. And they've iterated it. They've made it clear. I won't use it. Like, it's just like, it's embedded in me that I had a negative experience with this one, and it was a button that I thought did something else. And, and they keep on being like, we fixed it, but you can never overcome that first experience. So it's the trust factor.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Just add a follow-up question for that, just for the understanding. So for example, let's not talk about Order, but let's talk about just a product that can be Slido or Order. It's like, what if you trust the system, but because of any updates, for a week, you lose all your work. Let's say Evernote had the same issue, I would say 3 months back. Thousands of users lost all their notes. So is that the trust factor comes into the picture over there because you already win the trust, or because you lose, let's say you're recording for a week and you realize that in between that 15-minute transcription just gone for no reasons. I had no idea where to go, right? Or maybe the Slido is like anything happened for that on the product. So how does that balance? Because it's the new product, the new feature launch, or is that you already win the trust and now it's not working? Just trying to understand for that.
Tell me correct if this is what you're asking, Vatsul. Is the trust real? Is the trust more important in the creation aspect or in the retention aspect on the background? Is that sort of what you're asking?
Yes, it's sort of a balance between that. Yes.
For me personally, it's in the creation. Than it is in the, because really I don't, for everything that I create, I probably touch it again, maybe 1 out of 100 times of the things that get created. So it's almost, yeah. So it's the initial piece for me that's important.
Yeah.
First impression is the last.
The first impression.
And as audio person, like, sometimes things are not that meaningful, but in the moment, like when you record something and you take out a recorder and you're spending that time and you spend 5 minutes and you thought carefully about what you said, and then that file is lost, that is a traumatizing experience, so that is something that we want to avoid. And I've had that experience with not with many systems, of losing something and being devastated and angry, and looking up at the gods and saying like, why did this happen? So, and one just part to Justin is like, I actually am a huge believer in real-time speech to text, because there's something about the human computer interaction, the live feedback loop that's generated when you're seeing yourself say something, and maybe it's ego driven, I'm not sure what it is, or to me it's almost like a clarifying thing. Even if there's a little bit of latency, and to see what you've just said adds clarity to where you're moving. And again, Justin and I are very stream of conscious thinkers, so we don't know what we're about to say before we say it, and it can be a very powerful sort of quality assurance / focus driver, at least when I'm starting to go unconscious as I'm speaking, to see that feedback.
Yeah, I think it's really important what Tyler said, because without the captures of things, I have no, like, my words mean nothing. Like, to me, like, I'm an idiot. It's interesting, like, I've never said anything that was smart, because I beat up most of the things that come out of my mouth. And then 1 out of 1,000 things that comes out of my mouth, I feel it here. And that's actually what I'm going for. And it doesn't matter if that gets captured, but it feels like I'm speaking to, like, that. It's a dialogue, it's a conversation, as opposed to a crazy person, who's like talking to themselves on the streets, which is and I don't know if other people experience it this way, but I hate, like, I'd rather not have a great idea or an epiphany in a conversation with somebody than lose it.
Yeah.
Because that's so disappointing. That, me personally.
These are all wonderful points. I'm glad, again, Justin, I'm so glad you joined, and brings another perspective in, which is what we always welcome here. So I will, in terms of time, I'll just try to keep this. No, this is fine. This is what's meant to happen here. So I'll just hit a couple more points. And again, we do try to keep this an hour, so we can try to go concise through these last points. We got through a big bulk of this, which is pretty impressive already, to be honest. So I'll just add 2 things. We've talked about the Google Chrome extension in the last one, so I think there's, maybe again, anyone can take a second to join in, but we do have this coming. We'll have a private link in the email that we send out so people can actually test it. So that's a very exciting thing. It's like an extension. It's getting into a directory. People can use it. The idea becomes much less abstract and allows you to be concrete when you analyze things that you actually care about, and then get that instant feedback back. And I liked what 𝗕𝗏 said last week of it. Like, it feels quick when you do it. It's just in there and it's analyzed. It's like, wow. So that's a very powerful part. Anything on the Google Chrome extension before we keep jumping through these points?
No, all the feedbacks are very welcomed, and everything will be taken seriously. And this is sort of a beta version. We are still trying to understand what is working, what is not working on the user's end. And there are 2 features will help users to either they can do the right click, select the text, and import any text from any website to the speak notes, which will save by the timestamp, the tagging, from where did you select those texts. And the second piece is to fetch the entire page, which is, I would say, on the technical side, it's challengeable, because every website's built using different tag and stack. So it's working, I would say 6.5 out of 10, or maybe 6 out of 10. But what is not working, we are trying to understand the pattern, how we can improve that. So that's a learning path we'll take. So any feedbacks will always be welcome.
And I think an interesting, sorry, Lauren.
I'm just curious, like, why we built the Chrome extension for, like, where that came from.
Great question, Lauren. Classic Lauren. I'll give you one answer. One of them is directory. So getting listed on directory with domain authority, and also new discoverability for people. And also basically the potential for people to then not have to enter speak all the time, but get the power of the analysis and pull in more about like press releases, social media, LinkedIn pages, analyze that very quickly in a large scale, and then go through a session in web pages browsing, dump it all into Speak, and then review it after, both as an individual note or even to take a look into the dashboard of today and see the things that actually popped up there. I think we're going to dive deeper into that of what the use cases are. But already we've been talked about business plans, social media profiles, organization profiles, understanding press releases, competitors' content, really just doing analysis on things that are living on the web that are valuable to people. So we're trying to fit into that interface. I don't know if there's anything else to add from my side.
I mean, I was just going to say, I think an interesting thing about the Chrome extension market as well, right, is I think there's 1.6 billion Chrome users in the world, but there's only something like 182,000 Chrome extensions, while the iPhone market is 1.3 billion, but there's 1.8 million iPhone apps out there, right? And the biggest issue I find with Chrome extensions in general is discoverability, right? I think it's very, like the Chrome Web Store, it's fine, but it's not the greatest. Like I was talking about 𝗤𝗨 about how you can actually link, you can't actually explore a developer's repository within the Google, Chrome store. Like you'd actually, let's say 𝗤𝗨 posted it under his name, you'd actually have to go into Google search and be like, okay, 𝗤𝗨 Google Chrome extension, and then you'd have to find it within search results. You can't actually do that within the Chrome store, which is kind of annoying. But also the market of Chrome extensions, right? Like you think about like, was it Grammarly? Like Grammarly's valuation was what, 4 billion, right? And they and the vast majority of people just use the Chrome extension. They don't even use Grammarly natively, right? Like they don't go into Grammarly.
No one logs into that thing.
Exactly. Exactly. So, it could definitely just be at a certain point that might even just take on a life of its own, right? Depending on where we go with it.
The part that when I originally was sharing about Speak was I loved Grammarly, but I thought there was so much more power possible, and this idea of being a layer that sits over top, that like we're only hitting the surface level with right click and copy page or analyze. But what about an augmented assistant that as you're scrolling through pages is giving you insights at all times?
Yep.
Like there's so much more capacity. It was just building this layer and getting our first iteration out. I think it can be a real game changer if we actually listen to feedback and how people are using this and what they're looking for as they browse. Like so many people's jobs and roles now is to synthesize information all day. I'm looking to invest in companies, or I'm whatever it is. And it's like, I have to read 50 articles a day and figure out what did I learn from that. And then I have to report back to my team and make an educated insight or decision that then is going to be adopted by the company to actually have money invested or productivity. Like there's a big gap in there. And I think we can help make an impact on that through this layer view that we have.
To just add on that, Lauren, if you consider this is as a sub product of Speak, I would consider as a separate product of Speak, because what I see the bigger picture is like, yes, this is just the version 1. That's a very small piece. But if you just see the bigger picture, it's going to be the real-time analysis on your page right there, interactive media. So it's like you can, if it is a pure text, it's all the blogs, right? Everyone should read the content. It's like how you can navigate quickly, understand the content on the page through the extension, and can understand the analysis of that. So that is the bigger goal, but this is just the beginning. So it's like you cannot get up top without trying the first step. So that's a bigger goal and feature. We'll see how it goes, but yes.
That got me too excited, 𝗏𝗨. That was too much. That was just slow down there, guy.
That's the real-time analysis and the insights, or even the sentiment, right? Why do we want to go into the text notes? I usually copy my emails. The grammar is one thing which helps to understand the sentence and the grammar, but also try to understand the sentiment. My always goal is I don't want to use any negative words in my emails. So it's like, that's a use case for me. I can see right there next to the Grammarly extension. So
Justin, you're off mute.
I was just going to say, the Chrome extension is huge because it sits, like every time you open up Chrome, it sits there. And those are really interesting stats that you shared. Evernote does with their Chrome extension, when I do a Google search, it also searches my Evernote notes and it looks native.
Yeah.
That's an interesting.
Yeah.
I never thought like about Speak that way, but that's really powerful. The Chrome extension, the possibilities.
I was just thinking as Vatso was saying that, it's like if you looking at say 10 now we got off track. I'm sorry guys. 10 articles a day, but then you had analyzed the 10 previous, and then a brand is mentioned or a person is mentioned. It could say that you've read 4 articles on on that person today already. And in the last month, you've read X on this many times. And it's like you're reading, like there's a lot of possibility for like these patterns that you didn't even understand, or things that could help you. Like one of the things that Tim's working on, and it's in, I'm not be able to join this together, but is like the notification email at the end of the day of all the information that you've dumped into Speak, and here's a synthesis of it to help you understand what you actually analyze, and try to give you some comprehension, because that's what. I heard this thing yesterday. Marshall McLuhan talked about when too much information is generated, all you can do as a human is recognize patterns. And that's what we're trying to help with, make those patterns more concrete and get a better comprehension. So if you're browsing or you're messaging people or you're recording notes all day, like that's one of the gaps I found with Evernote. That's one of the gaps I found with Otter. Like you said, like Justin, you don't revisit your stuff that you put in. You don't revisit. Like I've scraped so many things off Evernote as a bookmark, and I've never gone and looked at that bookmark again. So how can you resurface things in the moment when they're necessary, or create it through the cycle so that it becomes actually valuable and doesn't become this archaic artifact that sits in this system that is never utilized again? So that fires me up. Okay. All right, Tyler, come on. We're done in product engineering. It's 1:03. I don't know how this happened. Justin, I'm not blaming you, but no, I'm just kidding. A couple other things quickly. WordPress integration. We've dived on this a bit, but was like, the idea is not just to, we've talked at the start of product engineering, which is capture, but the other part which is important is to publish. And if we don't think of that full channel, which is capture, analyze, share, and improve, we need to hit those output channels. And WordPress still today, apparently you know all the stats, 𝗲, but I don't know. It's like at one point it's like 400 million websites. I don't know what it is today. Of course, there's web flows and Ghost and things creeping up, but a lot of still use for this. And we thought it was worthwhile to plug into this system and help with that output. Automatically publish text notes or automatically publish media players. And that same idea is how can we make information more navigatable, more useful? And if you're a person who lands on that page who's already reading 100 articles that day or watching 20 videos that day, that you don't have to waste your time on the unuseful stuff and you only get to the stuff that matters. Good. Okay. What's next? Final part. We're going to see how we can get through this. This is selfishly put in the email by me, but it's improving real-time speech to text, which is not really in our pipeline in the next quarter. We have a lot of stuff that we're doing already. So that was if a couple of things have come together that haven't quite come together yet, but that will come. And some of the companies that we're working with want these systems to come. So as long as they align with customer needs, then we will build those out in priority, but they might not come right away, but it's definitely a love and focus of what we want. Quickly, bulk media management. We started to process a lot more things in bulk. So even transcriptions that need human transcription, and then you need to export those. So how can you order human transcriptions in bulk? Like, I remember when we first created Speak, you could only basically upload a single file at a time, and then you could upload 10. And the investment in the system is easier, and it becomes a less frictionless, or less friction in the experience. So how can we supplement that also on the export? Or if you need to create 10 embeddable players, how can you do that quickly? So really trying to make that system more quick, precise, efficient as you use it. Any thoughts there? No? Okay. I'm gonna go.
No, it's pretty straightforward. So I mean, there is a balance between that. So it's like the number of user growth and the requirements from number of users. That's a simple math. It's like if the requirement goes high, the feature priority should go high. So it's a balance. If it is 1 to 100, doesn't add up in math. If it is 100 to 1, that means like the requirements is pretty high. So it should go fast. So that's number of depends between the balance between the prioritizations and the requirements from the users.
And last part on the what's next, and maybe I'm going to build out this part more, but is like really a lot of focus right now on enhancing how we capture data and then like store it and transfer it in more secure way. And then also, as more users are using our system and submitting any personal information, just making sure that we're investing a lot in the privacy and how we handle that data. It's very important to us. That's when I just watched 𝗕𝗏𝗁 on Netflix, there's just a lot of things to think about here. And I know that our whole team cares about this a lot. So I'm excited to actually have some resources to dedicate this and figure out how we can just provide the insights of analysis, but do it in a safe, consumer first, privacy focused way that provides value for people. So that's a big step for us in this next quarter. And then lastly, that's it for what's next. I'll just say, I'll ask you guys if there's anything that you think, if you could say, someone actually watched this whole thing, thank you to anyone who did or anyone who listened to this. Quarter one is done. We're moving into quarter two. If you could say, hey, person listening, how can you contribute? And if you like what we're doing, how can you help out? Do you guys have any thoughts on what would you say to someone who loves what we're doing and wants to contribute?
I have a couple of thoughts. I'll jump in. So if you are working and interested on the engineering side or the development side, you have open channel on the website. You can send us an email. Is like how you can contribute. We do have the publicly available sort of a timeline what is coming next, so you can look at that and see if that fits with you. The second thing we want to improve right in this quarter is also the user experience and the user design. So if you have experience in terms of implementing the whole 𝗕liche into any publicly available designing platform, such as like Figma or any other tool you use. So that's a big task in this quarter. So you are most welcome. And the last piece is like, if you have any insights, or if you are using a tool, or if you have come across any vulnerability on the system that's, hey, this is something doesn't make sense. So yeah, that is also pretty welcome in terms of the security and privacy. So those are the three sectors we are trying to tackle in this quarter too.
Beautiful. Lauren, any help you need, buddy?
Sorry, what's the question again?
You could talk to someone listening to this and say, hey, if you like what we're doing and you want to contribute, or if you feel like helping out, and you're Lauren, and just how could anyone help you out? How can anyone help us out as a team, continue to bring this to life and make sure that we're, successful with the undertaking that we're going through?
Sure. If you like working within the transcription industry, if you enjoy working with psychedelics communities, if you enjoy working with a whole bunch of interesting people who have a lot to say and not a lot of ways to organize their thoughts, then we want to work with you too. It's all about the people you work with,
Beautiful. Lauren, top. Tim, what's up, buddy?
I would be at a loss to say, but everyone who has ideas, crazy enough or not, we had a way we still do by gathering requirements, and as Justin just mentioned, we really do listen to you, and it's been a great time to iterate on our existing products with all the feedback that you gave. And feedback is such an important part and just crucial to us, as in to any software organization to that degree, that I would say it's if you have any feedback on user interface or the services that we offer, it'll be the time to shoot us a message, contact any one of us on LinkedIn, and probably Justin first. He'd be happy probably to just hear what people are thinking too. But any one of us has open ears, and that didn't go that leniently.
Did a great job, buddy. Don't worry, you did awesome. And again, you can always add more. We'll have more office hours to come. This is so anything, and I appreciate the ask there, 𝗕𝗏𝗁. You're fresh into the role, but what do you need? How could someone help you, or how can you think someone help the whole Speak team?
Honestly, I don't have a pinned down point, but I think in general, just even from a branding and marketing side, right, just kind of if anyone has ideas on how companies like ours are best, are best positioned. Like, how do they like being spoken to as a customer, right? I think that's a really big point, because I know, for instance, we've discussed, I know Otter keeps coming up, but we had a discussion about how they engage and interact with their users, right? For instance, whether that's on social, whether that's through their like featured user section on like their website, right? Where I think, especially since we're building a product that is very human centric, it would be interesting to see if we can build that into our messaging as well over time.
Beautiful. Justin, welcome guests. Any thoughts on that? And also the question too is like, not only do we, if you're looking to help us, but how can we help you is always the question too. So don't feel that we're just asking this as a give and take. And the idea here from the start, my first business was let's succeed together, or let's grow together. And that's what we want to continue to foster here. So Justin, I guess just any thoughts on your side as someone who's had a great perspective, not just on us, but the industry in general, and just business and tech and everything that we all love talking about.
And so this is for speaking to people who aren't on this call, or people on this call?
Say someone who listens to this in the future.
Someone listens to this future. Yeah, I think the biggest useful thing is let us know, like, or let the team know that you listen to it, either by commenting, it can even be a like, or reach out on LinkedIn. The possibilities with the Speak product are endless. But as Tim said, it requires dialogue. It's not, I like what Lauren said it perfectly. Transcription and psychedelic, right? And I mean, that's a pretty wide range, and it can be tailored to anybody. So reach out, like, and share, like raise your hand and make an ask. I think that's the big one, or interact and mix it up, because it does, it can, this work does currently and will change lives.
Thanks, Justin. Anything else that you're thinking that's on your mind?
The big one, I mean, from a Speak perspective, I still like that. I still would love to be able to speak a general idea, and then to have SEO optimized, post on WordPress to be able to work. The best way that I have to do that right now is through pod pages, but I think Speak is much more robust as far as that goes. And then top things, just from a top of mind, I'm very into creator coins right now, which are the cryptocurrencies based on people, because there's something about purchasing a coin. Tim's a perfect example. Tim's going to do 30 projects over the next 10 or 15 years, or maybe 100 projects. I might understand 5 of those, and I might be intimately interested in one of those, but I'm definitely like, I can understand being in the Tim game and investing in Tim and being a part of everything that he's doing, even if I don't understand the wide body of work. So that's why I'm, going back to the human aspects, I'm very into the creator coin. So anybody wants to mix it up in those topics, I'd love to chat.
Very curious. So you'd be investing into something that's purely digital, doesn't even exist. It's like, buy me a coffee, but I'm not going to buy it. Really, it's a cryptocurrency. It has no real value, but the trust that, well, as far as I understand, the blockchain and the more or less the blockchain.
Don't
just
start this, Tim.
The value exists on the trust to the person to person. It's the beautiful way of digitizing personal trust.
It is, and I'm sorry, he's probably don't start that, Tim. It's probably also Justin. Don't continue it. Can I do a 30-second?
Yeah, go ahead. I was just joking. I was just saying that we're all interested in this. So another rabbit hole opens, and I'm just being.
And I think that's, because what it's starting to realize, the friction is removed, and I think what you said is important, right? Like, how do we exchange value? You give that example as buying a cup of coffee. I was like, all right, well, I appreciate you, I'm going to buy you a cup of coffee, but that is independent. Like, do I want that cup of coffee? Like, really, that cup of coffee costs you $5. I get a drink. There's the cup people that are involved in that. There's the coffee, like there's like all that friction and everybody else who's taking a piece of the pie, whereas the trust is one-to-one, right? It removes all those other pieces. So it's a lot more amorphous, but it's also more direct. So I love the way you articulated that, Tim.
Beautiful. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being here. Just a couple last parts on mine is like, if you know, I think everyone touched on this here nicely. I'm going to send out this quarterly update. It goes up, I believe, 1,200 to 1,700 people. Really enjoy sharing that out and appreciate the feedback a lot. And as I think Tim said, and as Justin said, like, you thrive off feedback. Sometimes we've had, you know, early stages where we were just building things and feel like you're throwing it into the wind, and then the wind is making no noise, and there's no, you know, there's nothing coming back. And now we start to get more, but the more that we can, you know, understand how you view what we're doing, how we can help, how we can create more value, better this is for everyone here. And we do believe we're on to something, and just want to continue down the path and make sure that we're prioritizing the right things. If you want to contribute, do have a Slack community. We've got the YouTube channel here, which we're excited to see growing, and the subscribers are going up. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You know, introduce us to people that you think would be valuable, you know, that would value Speak. You know, people who are synthesizing lots of data, people who have lots of large media libraries who are trying to make better use of those. If you're trying to build SEO optimized content that's accessible and engaging, there's a lot of power within our system, and we want to continue to explore those and welcome those introductions, even if it's just for a call. Be an early adopter of the Google Chrome extension. Send out this link through that email. I'm very excited to get some feedback. And, you know, we talked about the initial version 1, but also what's possible in the future. And with your feedback, we will bring that future to you. And then just log in to Speak, share your feedback. We value it a lot. So we're all happy to connect anytime. Thank you, anyone who listens to this, who watches this. This was a Q1 2021 report and reflection with a special guest of Justin. Very glad, always grateful to have him here. Any last thoughts, anyone, before we wrap this up? Good. See some.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Justin.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Great seeing you guys.